Associated students want to make sure you're prepared for the primary elections. We'll have more on that coming up.
The Student Homeless Alliance hosted a camp out to raise awareness. More on that story next.
SJSU students can now vote on campus. We'll show you how going electronic is now easier and faster.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Amanda Nist.
And I'm Courtney Vasquez. A group of San Jose State students is pushing for passage of a bill that will help students with tuition. The students brought their demands to an overnight demonstration called Poverty Under the Stars. Our Vicente Vera was there and joins us live on campus with more. Vicente?
Courtney, a group of students, grassroots activists known as the Student Homeless Alliance, came out with tents right in front of this building and stayed overnight.
There's just so many stakes. I don't know where all these go. Yeah, those definitely go in here.
If you stumbled upon the scene in front of Clark Hall last Thursday, you'd think these students were having a fun little camp out. Well, it was a camp out, but they were there to represent students who have no other choice but to sleep in tents.
Governor Newsom, as you know, devoted his State of the State speech yesterday to California's homeless crisis. Honestly, I think he should have invited you in for a conversation first.
The Student Homeless Alliance wanted to raise awareness on the more than 50,000 students who have faced housing insecurities in the California State University system.
So let's get our event started.
For the past 14 years, one night of the year, the Student Homeless Alliance has set up mock encampments right here on the Tommy Smith and John Carlos lawn to send a message. We need to hear housing insecure students, and we need to help them.
There's a lot of elected officials talking about it.
The main focus this year was advocating for the California Grant Reform Act, which has passed the Assembly in Sacramento and is now before the Senate Education Committee.
It's going to reform the Cal Grant system so that the aid awards take into account the full cost of attendance of college. So that's obviously tuition and then housing.
You can have your tuition completely covered through a scholarship, what have you, and still not be able to go to school here.
We do have a movie over here.
President of the Student Homeless Alliance, Diana Rudler, helped organize this year's Poverty Under the Stars event.
I wouldn't say pressure as much as I can feel that we're all collectively as an organization at the head of something big and important.
Vice President of the Student Homeless Alliance, Brianna Brown, was planning on spending the night.
It's a tradition that I honestly wish didn't have to keep happening, because by us standing up here, by us putting on this event, that means that there's a problem that needs to be solved. So it is a tradition, but it is a bittersweet one to continue.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Courtney, about a handful of students stayed overnight from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., all with approval from the SJSU administration. Live on campus, Vicente Vera, Update News.
With the California primary elections coming up next week, the San Jose State Associated Students hosted a Democracy Week. From Monday through Friday, students had the chance to learn more about the 2020 primaries and how they can get involved. I have the story. Students passing through 7th Street Plaza are getting a glimpse of democracy in action. This booth reminds students of the events in store during Democracy Week: a ballot bowl, pizza at the voting center, and red and blue balloon selfies.
I think it's important for Associated students to host Democracy Week because if you look at the statistics for how often kids our age actually vote, it's actually very relatively low.
Political science junior Cadence Walker says he hopes having Democracy Week will improve youth voter participation.
Students having this outreach to teenagers and young adults who are our age and are eligible to vote can hopefully raise the voter turnout for our age demographic.
As an incentive to start a conversation about the 2020 primary elections, the AS booth gave out prizes to students who wanted to learn more.
I got to spin the wheel, I got a little prize, I got a little paper with some of the propositions coming up, and I got to learn information about the upcoming election.
Do you feel more? The California primaries are on March 3rd and polls close at 8 p.m. Make sure you go out and cast your vote. Since the California primary elections are less than a week away, for some students, finding the time to cast their vote might be stressful. The Santa Clara County Registrar of Voters have placed 2 official ballot drop boxes here on campus. The boxes are located in front of Clark Hall and in front of the Villages. They are for voters registered in Santa Clara County who have filled out and signed a vote by mail envelope. Electrical engineering senior Danny Hernandez sees the ballot boxes on campus as a way to get more young people to vote.
I think it's great. I think it brings awareness to the campus about all the voting,
not to study,
and
but to
it's good so that we can get a better turnout and hopefully change things for the better.
Closer race than expected.
Both ballot boxes will be on campus until 8 p.m. on Election Day, March 3rd.
Some voters are casting their ballots ahead of the primary, and San Jose State is celebrating its opening of its first voting center on campus. As Jonathan Guzman shows us, the election is bringing about many changes.
Some students are stopping by Martin Luther King Jr. Library, not to study, but to cast their vote. A new Monmouth University poll shows a closer race than expected, with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders leading by single digits to former Vice President Joe Biden. The results show every vote matters.
The presidential primary elections are held until March 3rd, where 15 jurisdictions will hold a primary event, also known as Super Tuesday.
With a voting center on campus, students at SJSU can go in between classes.
It was super easy to come in and vote, a lot easier than mailing in a ballot, especially because I have a gap, and just coming here between classes and voting was super convenient.
Under the California's Voter Choice Act, people are able to cast their votes where it's most convenient. The act also expands in-person voting to a traditional paper ballot or an electronic one. Math senior Ricardo Astiarzaran appreciates the choice.
It was fairly easy. I did the paper ballot because I feel like it's more trustworthy to use like handwritten than like using an app.
Since opening on February 22nd, not many students have come in to vote, but voting center leader Virginia Pulido is optimistic.
We're hoping Election Day will be the biggest crowd. Right now we just started, so there's not a lot of people who know about it.
San Jose State's voting center will remain open leading up to Super Tuesday and will extend its hours up until 8 p.m. that final day. On campus, Jonathan Guzman, Update News.
When we come back, Andrea Briseño will be here with a look at arts and entertainment.
Spartans can grow and take home their own produce at the San Jose State Community Garden. I'll have more on this story coming up.
We'll show you the kind of food this truck is wheeling at the Village Quad.
The Tabia African American Ensemble performed in front of a big crowd. We'll show you their talents.
We have Andrea Briseño with A&E.
So Andrea, tell us what's new with arts and entertainment.
As you know, what I'm going to talk about is going to make viewers hungry.
Looking for a place to get freshly grown veggies and fruit? The SJSU Community Garden may be your new source for these food items. Courtney Vasquez has the story.
It's a garden full of life. From fresh cilantro to sweet apples, the San Jose State Community Garden grows its own produce, which students can then take home. Students from SJSU can volunteer in the garden at any time throughout the school year.
There are different clubs that kind of see that, oh, there's a community garden, and they want to do events or like get more involved that way. And some people just see like, oh, I saw a sign. It's like, oh, okay.
Public Health Junior Maya Paulo says the garden helps students learn how to harvest their own food.
If you feel like you want some more resources, coming to the garden and asking a supervisor or a volunteer how to start is definitely a good starting point.
Journalism junior Brianna Conte says she was happy to find a place like the garden since it's so close to campus.
San Jose State doesn't really have that much landscaping or botanical spaces on campus, so I was excited to find out about this garden last spring.
Students who volunteer are free to take some of the produce harvested, giving them another reason to love the garden. Vegetables not taken home by the students are brought to the food pantry on campus. In San Jose, Courtney Vasquez, Update News.
Spartan Eats is rolling out its new food truck for students in the housing quad. The Block Bites food truck will now be serving nachos from 6 to 12 p.m. Thursday through Saturday for the rest of the semester. The truck is part of a new initiative of dining changes at Spartan Eats. Regular nachos are $6.49, while loaded nachos are $7.49. Some students are welcoming the crunchy carbs.
I think it's a really good idea, and I'm really excited to try the nachos. I like that they're doing something other than the DC because it kind of sucks. And if you're living on campus, you don't have a lot of opportunities. So this is a good another thing to have.
To buy nachos, students will need to order them at the Village Market using dining darners and credit cards. You've probably heard that the San Jose State has its own 24-hour-a-day radio station, but have you heard of the people to help make it happen? Vicente Vera has the inside story.
Dozens upon dozens of electronic dance music CDs surrounded his booth.
Here, I'll put something a little more.
All of these compact discs could have been mistaken for wall decorum.
Yeah, these are the promos right here.
Radio, television, and film senior Carlos Juarez is on the mix,
spinning his favorite records for San Jose State's student-run radio station, KSJS.
On the air since the 1960s.
Yeah, I have like Odessa, Cascade. These are like my options right here. These are like my favorite ones.
As he broadcast from Hugh Gillis Hall, Juarez said he couldn't have gotten a better time slot for his 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. show.
A time slot that he had to work his way through the ranks to achieve.
Night shifts are kind of rough. From 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, and sometimes like I would have work from like 9 to 2 a.m. and then I would come here, so then I wouldn't sleep all night.
It was really Juarez's love for a rave dance called gloving that pushed him to play EDM tunes on his show.
You know when people put gloves on and it has like little lights? So yeah, so like at raves or music festivals, people will have them and they'll be like...
But it was thanks to KSJS program director Chad Auckland-Jolin that Juarez was able to get his show in the first place.
Essentially, we play everything 6 months before it gets famous.
He said managing the station can get difficult, but it's always rewarding.
It gets kind of tough because, you know, I never joined a fraternity. I never did any of that, so these are most of my friends, too. And so, like, managing your friends can get kind of tough, but at the end of the day, you know, it's business, so it's not too hard.
Though interest in radio might not be as high as it once was, Auckland-Jolin said he thinks it's still an essential platform for underground artists.
I still think it serves as really like a forefront of the music industry, even though like the medium itself is kind of dying. You know, terrestrial radio is not what it once was, but I still think it's kind of placed as an icon.
An icon like San Jose State's KSJS.
On campus, Vicente Vera, Update News.
The Tavia African American Theater Ensemble is celebrating its 35th year through songs, poetry, and dance. The group performed at the MLK Library on Saturday, and the crowd got to join the fun throughout their performance. The ensemble enacted inspiring stories of African Americans. Producing artistic director Viera Y says sharing other stories helps connect everyone.
So it's important that we have cultural specific theater, but that we tell stories that everyone can relate to.
The Tavia Theater Ensemble will have its last performance this coming Saturday in MLK Library. And that's all I have for arts and entertainment. So what did you think of the performance?
It was really great. I was actually there and it was a lot of fun. They got to interact with everyone.
When we come back, Jonathan Guzman is here at sports.
The San Jose State beach volleyball team opened up their 2020 season at the new Spartan Beach. I'll have more on this story coming up.
The baseball team hosted the Creighton Blue Jays this weekend. and we have the results. And now we have Jonathan Guzman with sports.
So Jonathan, have you ever tried playing volleyball?
You know what? I have, and it's really fun. The Spartan Beach volleyball team has officially opened the 2020 season for the first time at home. The team made its debut playing at the brand new beach courts, also called Spartan Beach, with the ceremonial ribbon cutting on Friday. Update News reporter Cora Wilson was there.
No longer do the Spartans have to travel long and far just to be able to practice on real sand. Spartan Beach, inaugurated Friday, lets the team maximize practices and take the pressure off of having to travel.
It's showing that our practice is paying off here, and yeah, it's also really nice to have the crowd support here too.
The new courts proved to be a great place for the Spartans to play as they won against both Ottawa University of Arizona and Oregon. Some of the Spartans played their first ever beach game, and so they are still learning to adjust playing in different conditions, according to assistant coach Delaney Gregory.
I think a big thing we saw today is just energy, and we're trying to have them be themselves out there.
After 6 seasons of playing home matches as far away as Monterey, the Spartans are finally home. Support of donors, athletics, and the coaches are what contributed to making Spartan Beach happen.
It's also just kind of nice to have, obviously, the comfort of home court advantage, but we still have to bring that same fire that we do anywhere else.
A crowd of more than 200 people came to inaugurate the beach and celebrate the end of the journey it has been leading up to the grand opening. Cora Wilson in San Jose, Update News.
The San Jose State baseball team won 2 of 3 games of its series against Creighton University. The Spartans won their Saturday and their Sunday games against the Blue Jays at Excite Park, coming off a rough night against the Blue Jays on Friday. The Spartans lost the first game 7-0. However, the loss was not enough to stop the team from putting up a strong fight in the next 2 games. The Spartans put up a season-high 13 hits on Saturday, winning 8-4. To end the series, the Spartans battled a close game but won 9-8 in walk-off style in the 9th inning on Sunday.
I'm excited for this group, and I'm glad that we were able to pull out the series when that's what we talked about all weekend.
Coming off a successful series win, the Spartans plan to keep the momentum going into the next games. For the baseball team, preparation in practice is key, as the Spartans plan to keep the energy and wins going. That's all I have for sports. So have you guys ever been to a baseball game?
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
I love baseball, yeah. And that does it for this week's edition of Update News.
From all of us here, thanks for joining us, and see you next week.